Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. What's going on, guys? It's 3:50 in the morning. I just got home from work and I had to make this video for you guys. My energy's still slightly there, so I'm like, you know what? Let me jump in, do this video for you guys, because this is an important follow-up to one of the last shows that we did where we actually analyzed that poem that was found on Jen Soto's Instagram. We analyzed a poem that sounded to us like it might have been a poem that was written by Stephen Stearns that basically professed his guilt. This was a poem about love and loss and all of that terrible stuff. And we believed that it was most likely penned by Stephen Stearns. We went through each stanza. If my memory serves me right, there was 4 stanzas. And each one, we said which one sounded like it was Stephen Stearns, which one sounded like it could have been written by anybody, which was appropriate, which one sounded like could have been written by Jen Soto, and then definitively the last one, which was basically like, yo, he's saying I held you in my arms when you died and my heart broken with you. Basically, that sounded like Stephen Stearns. But in totality, we said, you know what? We think this was definitely penned by Stephen Stearns. Well, guess what? I put a call out there to the Strategic Eyes community to help me source some handwriting samples from Stephen Stearns. And the community did what the community always does, which is basically come through and support this channel. And guess what? We have some interesting handwriting analysis to show you guys. So we're not going to make this a long show because obviously I got to get to bed, but we're going to take the time to go through this handwriting. So on the left side of your screen is a handwriting sample from Stephen Stearns. And on the right side of your screen, you're going to be looking at the poem that was found on Jen Soto's Instagram. And I want to bring your attention to a couple of the letters. You can clearly see that in one side, the person is obviously trying to write as neatly as they possibly can. It also appears as though they may have traced over maybe a pencil or something like that. I'm not sure, but the poem, obviously they want to write as neatly as they possibly can because this is their tribute to Madeline Soto. All right. This is their final goodbye. And I believe that this is Stephen Stearns' tribute and final goodbye to this beautiful little girl. On the left-hand side, on the other hand, is a report that's being written while this person is while Stephen Stearns is under duress. He also has a time constraint. He's trying to hurry up and write this statement that the police basically told him that he needed to write. So now let's start looking at the individual letters, guys. Let's take a look at this. What I want to do, I'm going to zoom this in right here. And we're going to jump right into this. All right. So now we have that there. I want to zoom in. All right. So let's pick a letter, and S's are like very good tells. And I just want to give you guys a big heads up. So I'm not a handwriting analysis expert, but I do look at handwriting, and I have looked at handwriting in cases for almost a decade, okay? If I find something that I believe to be probative, then I send that out to the professionals for a pro to look at it so that they could be able to testify with what their findings are with their professional credentials. But 90% of the time it goes through me first. I have to find it to be probative to then send it along to the experts. So I'm not a certified handwriting analysis expert or anything like that, but my intuition, my experience, and my skills matters in the real world, okay? So now, and we're gonna be using our common sense as well, right? So now let's look at these S's. And so the S's look pretty consistent. So we'll circle this one. Very consistent. So you say 1, this is 2, let's go here, this is 3. It's pretty consistent with his S's. 4, there's a whole lot more than that. We're just gonna circle Some of the ones that we see. Look at this one with school. That's 5. All right. So now let's go over here where it appears this person is trying to write more neat, right? Look at the S's here. I would say his S's look like number 5s. Look at this one right here. Look at that S. How it always tilts up to the sky, tilting up to the sky. This one looks very similar to number 3. So this is similar to 3. 3, similar to 2 as well. Look at these double S's. Let's see how he writes if there's any instances of a double S inside of this statement here. Doubt it. Usually, yep. All right, so let's keep going. Let's pick a different one. Let's go to the W's. So we see his W here. We see the small W. We'll go ahead and erase these S's here. Let's erase these S's, erase the S's. And now we're going to the W's. So now let's look over here. Let's look at his W's. Similar, but not too similar. But now we get to this one. This one is kind of similar to that W. See if we have any other W's. Not too convinced on this one. Let me get this S out of here so we don't get confused. Go back. I don't see any other W's at just first glance real quick. So the W's I would say is not conclusive, okay? But the S's are big tells to me. Big tells. So now let's go to the A's, right? So we have the A's. He kind of brings around, has a nice little oval on his A. And he has a tail on his A. Let's see. Let's get to the A's. A's. One more A. All right. Let's label them. 1. This is 2. This is 3. This is 4. This is 5. Now let's go over to this side over here. So once again, this one he's writing fast. This one he's trying to be neat. So the handwriting is not going to be exactly the same, but I still see that similarity in this A here. I see the similarity in the A's. See the similarity. This A right here is identical to almost every A that's over here except for number 2. This A right here, super identical. Super identical to every other A that I see there. Let's see these D's, because these D's look pretty distinctive, because he definitely differentiates the line and the little circle that goes in a D. So the line is very distinctive. There's a gap between, you could look like right here, you see the gap in between the circle and the line. So let's get rid of that stuff and let's go check out these D's over here. So let's go ahead, circle this D, and now let's check out his D's over here. Same thing, man. Same thing. Big separation from the lines. He's got that separation from the line and the circle with the D's, man. He's got that separation. Look at that. Look at these D's. The separation. Look at the D's with the separation. Definitely. This D right here, this group right here, very similar to what we find over here. Very similar. Extremely similar. What else we got? Let's do some M's. Let's get through the M's now. Oh, I'm sorry, trying to get this to erase. All right, perfect. So we got the M's, M, and then after that we'll do the R's, and I think we're pretty much at our conclusion at that point. Let's see the M's over here on this side over here. Notice on this M over here, I guess we got 1 and then we got 2, and this is 3. Notice on the M's over here, the first loop is very small, it's very truncated. Same thing over here. First loop is truncated over here. And then when we come over here, first loop truncated. Maybe I should change the color. Make it easier for you guys to read over there. First loop truncated. This one right here, the first loop truncated, but he then goes back over it. And we see that again, like he's copied over this with pen, because you could clearly see the secondary outline as though he traced it. I don't know why he did that. I don't know if he knows that he's a sloppy writer and he wanted to make sure that this was perfect for Maddie, because we talked about how these folks, these pedophiles, rationalize their behavior. They rationalize their behavior by programming themselves to believe that what's happening is natural, that the victim wants it, that this is not, some person I'm abusing. This is my girlfriend. This is my wife. This is somebody I love. This is what they think in their brains. So I could see Stephen Stearns believing that this is the testament. This poem here is a testament of his love, and he wants it to be written perfectly. He wants it to be neat. He wants it to be clear and concise. He wants this final send-off to Maddie to come from his heart and to be perfect. And I could see him writing this out in pencil where he could make corrections to it and then tracing over it with pen. That may sound weird and inappropriate to the rest of us, but Stephen Stearns is not a normal guy. But you can see that this is clearly filled in, written over of a substrate that was already done, right, or already written on. This is very interesting. Very, very interesting stuff here. But these M's are very similar, and we see it truncated. We see that first loop is small. And then lastly, we'll do the I's and the R's. First of all, his lowercase i's are matching up perfectly with the I's on the poem. The R's, let's check out these R's. R's. Checking out those R's. Let's go over to this side, see if we have some R's. Very similar R's. Very similar R's. Very similar R's. All right, guys. I think we've pretty much come to a conclusion here. I think it's very probative, and I think that I can say with confidence, in my opinion, guys, you don't have to agree with me, but in my opinion, I think I could say that letter, that poem was authored by Stephen Stearns. Whether it's his words or not, he wrote it. Maybe he copied it off of the internet. I doubt it. I think this was a poem that he made for her, but I believe that to be his handwriting. I think the proof is in the pudding. We could clearly see the similarities in the handwriting. Almost every single letter matches up on both sides of these documents. On the right side being the poem that was written to Maddie, on the left side being a supporting deposition that was drafted and authored and written by Stephen Stearns. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's clear to say and to see with your own eyes that Stephen Stearns wrote that poem. He wrote it. And we went through this together. It was clear to us that the verbiage in the poem was inappropriate. It was inappropriate. It's not something that a mother would write, an aunt, a grandfather, grandmother, uncle, or even a juvenile child at the age of 12 or 13 years old, which is basically the peers of Madeline Soto. Stephen Stearns wrote that. As I held you in my arms, my heart died with you. Rest in peace, sweetheart. And lastly, so we have the handwriting, but we're going to double down on the sweetheart, which we talked about in the previous live where we dissected this poem. I went back. I told you guys that he called her sweetheart. He called Jen Soto sweetheart in the text messages. I went back and I reviewed those text messages for myself in the transcripts, and he said sweetheart. When Jen Soto was communicating with him about putting Madeline to bed ASAP, he called Jen Soto sweetheart. So not only is this poem using Stephen Stern's verbiage, his verbal cues, his favorite words, but the handwriting is spot on. But that's just my opinion. And if you disagree with me, it's perfectly okay. You're entitled to your own. Like and subscribe on the channel. We will be going live September 1st at 1800 hours. I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.